Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm Renee,
I am Kyrie.
and I want to say thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I want to say, to our first time listeners, we hope that, you enjoy and leave comments. For our subscribers who have been with us, thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you for hearing us out. And on this episode, I want to begin with an addendum to the last episode on
Okay.
healing and
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. You know, and I think because I was thinking about what I said about inoculation
Mm-hmm.
and that forgiving is always comes from that very adversarial place, right? And you think that you're giving something up,
Right.
right? You're giving up, what you think is rightfully yours or a more natural path in that you're not going to just, kill everybody or you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get your justice. You're not going to get your recompense.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to get something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to give that up. You have to give up your need for that to forgive them,
Right.
and the point that I was trying to make is that you're not giving up justice or recompense.
Right.
You're recontextualizing,
Yes.
what those things mean,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting it not through pursuing them, but through perfecting your sense of self.
Right.
To get to a point, like I said, to where you are inoculated,
Mm-hmm.
to where there's nothing that they can do that can take you away from yourself, from your work,
Right.
in a sense. But I think I fell into the same pitfall again that I tend to do a lot, where I think a bit too absolutely, to
Okay.
where you know like I've said many times before that this what I want this to be for us, it looks a certain way and it
Mm-hmm.
feels a certain way and it means a certain thing, and I'm kind of married to that image, I guess, just as much as people are married to the image of revolution,
Right.
and that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married to this image of perspective, of people understanding, of people choosing to create something that works for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't about, trying to sate this need, this drive in us through the most basic, or through a way that's going to leave us wanting, that's going to leave us unsatisfied. You're trying to sate this hunger, and you go down this path that leads you only to more hunger, in my opinion, right? So I want this to look a certain way, to feel a certain way, to mean something for us, so we can, be the type of people that we always, say that we wanted to be. But that's a mistake,
Well, when
especially,
you're dealing with people, people contextualize and recontextualize, in their own way and in their own understanding.
yeah,
And so I have the presence of mind to sort of understand, and I put that in quotations, that it's not going to be this one look, this one image, this one thing. And that's not to say that the the diverse, you know,
spectrum.
spectrum is a problem.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily, see it that way, but I do, get that sometimes, many of us in our convictions and how we feel that, you know, this revolution, right? It has to look a certain way. It has to follow a particular, set of steps. And I'm like, but that's not that's not the case.
But I will say that there is a right way and a wrong way for this to go, in my opinion.
I will agree to a certain extent that there is a right and a wrong way. It's just that when you said, okay, what I mean is
Hmm.
that if if you have made the charge that, I am not going to kill,
Hmm.
I'm not going to do that, if that's your charge. And I do think that that lends itself more to what it is that we say that we want to do. However, I know that at the same time that they're going to be that there are people out here that's like, it has to come down to this type of, you know war, or
Hmm.
fight, or whatever. And how how do you get, people to turn away from that, when they feel that, you know it's it's right.
Hmm.
It's and I'm gonna say, it's only right that we, respond, that way. So,
Hmm.
it's just, it's very delicate, I
I, w-
think, in dealing
I
with
I would
something
say
like
that
that.
it's more of a question of what is it that what is it that you
You
want.
want. Hmm.
We've asked that video times, and I would say that there's no, don't simplify things.
Correct.
There's no one way
Hmm.
that things can go. Always be open to questions. Always be open to to questioning your logic, and
Right.
questioning everything.
Right.
Nothing is safe from that. But I will say that there are a million billion ways for people to decide to order themselves.
Right.
Yet every single time we have done this one thing,
Every time we've ordered ourselves.
and yeah, every single time
Uh
we've
huh.
ordered ourselves, it's been this one thing. It's
Hmm.
been this. And it's always led to social strife, right? And that's one of the things that I would say I like about America, at least in idea,
Hmm.
that America isn't a finished product, or is not a ruined state. It was
Hmm.
created as an experiment. It's an experiment, which means that it's never done being made. That's kind of what the Constitution allows for, to change things from what they were into what they need to be for the people who you are becoming.
Right. Well,
You know,
what has been
well, like I
transpiring,
said, ideally,
right.
that's really what it was. That's really what it was designed to be, and the infrastructure, everything is there. But people
People, right.
tend to hang on to power, and that
Hmm.
means that you create a bulwark against change. Anything conducive that lessens your grip
Hmm.
onto it. But ideally, that's what America is. It's an experiment. It's an experiment in democracy. It is understanding that the state as well as the people is always becoming. Nothing's ever done. I've said that many
Hmm.
times. That the universe isn't done being made.
All right. So,
So, but that's but it always ends up being this. America has it's changed. It's not. It went from trying to create something that works for everyone to being the latest variation of the same old thing that we've seen throughout history.
but I think
And it
folks,
has been
some
the
folks will argue that,
same old
yeah, but I
forever.
think folks will argue that it was never set up
It's always been set up for
for
that.
everyone.
Well, the definition for everyone has changed.
Okay.
It has.
Okay.
You know, like back in the day, it was land owning white men,
Hmm.
right? We weren't even seen as people,
Right.
and women weren't seen as capable enough. And if you were poor and you didn't own land, then there were doubts of your capabilities.
Hmm.
But all of that has changed, right? But it's changed not to create something new. It's changed to maintain the old. It's no longer an experiment, or you can make the argument that it's never been an experiment,
Yes.
but it was created to be an experiment. experiment. That's the intent of it. But in practice, may not have lived up to that goal, you know? But that's why I say it's not a ruined state or a finished product. It's trying to do that. That's what it's supposed to be, you know? But it's become not is not innovative in a sense that it's not trying to be something new. It's trying to maintain what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I mean, that it throughout history, it's always been this, you know, kings, peasants, presidents, citizens, whatever. It's always been, you have this people with power and people without. People, and then the people without try to get, and the people with it try to keep. And it always comes down to that at every instance. You know, so I say that there's a million ways things can go. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
like ideally, just like America ideally was supposed to be an experiment, yet it never was. There's a million ways for this to go, yet it never does go in a myriad of paths.
Right.
It always seems to stick to one.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So when I say that there's a right and wrong here, you know, I'm not, like I said, you know, absolutes lie on the individual scale.
Correct.
You know, so there is no overarching right for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and there is no overarching right for wrong either.
Yeah, there's no overarching wrong for everyone. But the way we order our lives and the way we act them out, live them out, always tends to look the same way. And you may end up at that question, you know, in your own time. But it's the same question. And it's the same path, you know, that we have been walking for a very long time. You know, that you always leave room for the diversity, for the you know the spectrum, as we said, of the gradient for where people fall on, as long as it's in the pursuit of that common goal. However you get there, you get there.
Right.
But I think I would be a fool if I did not recognize the fact that we're all on the same roller coaster. We're all locked on the same path, going through the same ups and downs. And the only reason why we think they're different is because I'm going up the up and down, so it's mine. Right? But are my experiences any different from yours?
No.
Are the questions that I'm asking you,
no.
Like you said,
right?
You know, when you talk to
my grandfather,
your grandfather. I'm about to say great grandfather, but this is
yeah.
grandfather to you,
right?
Right? You said you were like, you two were able to relate on a lot of social issues, and that really bothered you because you two are like generations apart.
Right.
You should not be able to relate,
right.
You know, to the pains that this man had to go through, but you can, right? And here we are. It's always the same question, always the same path. There's a million ways it can go, but it usually goes this one way. You know, so and I hold on very strongly to my path, you know, this idea, this aesthetic that I've, you know, defined, because it's meant to take us in a different direction. It's meant to, you know, to move us mentally, you know, before it ever does anything physically. Because, like I said, we put the cart before the horse, you know, and we try to build before we have the mindset of the people who would build something like that. You like I said, you're prioritizing the aesthetic over, you know, the function,
right?
You know, and so my aesthetic is an aesthetic of function that changes the mind, you know, so it can change everything else. And I hold on very, you know, to what that means, you know, because like forgiveness has always looked one particular way in our society. Like I said, it's in your utility to me. Right. Somebody does something, some celebrity puts on blackface. Oh, you know, I'm sorry, whatever. Right. But now it's like, no, you gotta donate to the black charity causes or whatever. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. Then you could be forgiven. Like I said, forgiveness is all about your utility to me. What are you willing to give to show that you are worthy of being forgiven? It's always been that way. And the definition that I'm setting up is that forgiveness has nothing to do with the person who's trying to be forgiven. It has all to do, you know, with the person who's doing the forgiving.
Correct.
It's your work. It doesn't matter what they do if they are worthy or not. Like I said with the Dave Chappelle thing. Like when Dave
Mm-hmm.
Chappelle made that joke that SNL, we was talking about, a white person has to do something nice for a black person, right? For any black person, but that black person has to be undeserving. Has to be. They cannot deserve anything nice because if right, we didn't deserve, the whip. We didn't deserve, you know, all
Right,
of that.
right,
We don't deserve this, right?
right.
What we're going through now. Then if you're going to do something nice for the people who don't deserve it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I like that because it's not about them deserving it. It's about you doing something nice,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not about, them being worthy of forgiveness. It's about you forgiving,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and that's a means that looks a certain way,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that lends itself toward a certain aesthetic, and that, and like I said, there's a million ways it can look, but most likely it's going to look like this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I get married to that, because, like I said, diversity ideally, but it usually
Yeah.
is very predictable,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not a mistake that I can afford to make, consistently, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's useful in trying to recognize, but it becomes a bludgeon when you're trying to teach, right?
Yeah,
When you're
that's
trying
right.
to impart a particular knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So the addendum that I wanted to make was that forgiveness isn't isn't a road, and it's not any one road. Forgiveness is much like peace in that you can only arrive at it.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to bootstrap that mindset, because I just wanted to get it done.
Okay.
Because like that's that's the thing that you do to get to the thing that you ought to be doing, right? And I get real, like I've said, I get sick of that.
Mm-hmm.
People get so caught up in the most like cursory, most basic, most unimportant things to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I'm like forgiveness. Like, how can we forgive these people? And it's more like, how can you not be the person who
Mm-hmm.
does that if you want to get to the thing that
Right.
that you say you want to get to?
Right.
And I get very I would say indignant about it because I just want it done.
It's a reorientation,
Hmm.
and I understand that we have been stuck in this mire. It's been imposed. This
Yes.
this this one way type of relationship that it's been
Yeah.
imposed. And so when it's something that's been imposed and almost ingrained,
Hmm.
it's it's really difficult to reorient, even though you say that's what you want.
Hmm.
You know, we want to move in another direction, right?
Hmm.
But we're thinking that, well, this is the direction because this is what the direction has always been.
Hmm.
So for you to forgive, you're thinking that that person has to do something
Hmm.
because that's how it's pretty much been ingrained and set up.
Hmm.
But for you to be the person who you say that you should have always been, that means that you're going, well, reorientation is necessary.
Hmm.
A shift in perspective is necessary. And how that shift, you know, looks for you, it's going to be different. It's going to take time,
Ideally.
yeah. And so that's where I think that's where I am, is that I am I'm not giving you all my energy. I feel like you've taken enough, from me, you know, name, history, like name, history, cult, like you've taken enough from me. You know, I'm not giving you my solace. I'm not giving you that. And so it's my own work. And I feel like I'm mature enough to move the direction that I feel that I should move. That's just how I feel.
Mm.
I've had, people in my personal life who have hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
and when I guess I was the one that made the decision, right? To
You always are.
Yeah, to build and to forgive, right? Well, I don't even call it forgiveness. I told you that. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't even see it as forgiveness, And so from that point on, I just felt like I need to move here
Mm-hmm.
and we can go there. And that's not to say that, we didn't have any issues after. It's just that I don't have to
It's
keep
not that.
it's not that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's something else. And I don't have to keep bringing up, what you did in 1987. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do that because of, what you did right here. And so for me, that's how, I work through this. I don't with this relationship, black, white, this type of I don't have to go back to 1865 for anything. I don't have to go back to 17. I don't have to do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I could just look at, I don't know, yesterday or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do that. Even though, for others they feel like that's what they need to do.
For a grand historical
Yeah.
context.
Yeah. Fine, but I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at what's wrong right now, and the things that I feel that we can do, to rectify our problems. But, some of us are so, our identity is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That we're so trapped in that if we give that up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who are we without our struggle? Who are we without that?
That's that question.
And so I'm like, well, who is it that you want to be? And so can you be that person and evolve into something else? So that's a question that that you have to, ask of yourself.
Yeah.
And to understand that what you are doing is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that others may get better because of it, to me, is inconsequential.
Yeah, but it becomes of consequence when you think that they're they're getting off for a bargain.
Or that they're getting off easy. Or,
Yeah, like
well, the thing is that we feel as if we are betraying ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that we're betraying the ancestors, things of that nature. When we do that, and I don't see it as an act of betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ancestors were really like the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just think that what is it that you want, and how is it that
Well, but what you said before, or many times before, is that we feel like we owe them.
Right.
We owe them.
Yes.
This.
We owe them that ass whipping.
Yes.
Right.
We owe because for everything that they have done, that they are doing, and
right.
will continue to do, right? We feel like the only way that we can rectify it for us, for them, for everyone, is to give them what they are owed. Right? And that is it is, I would say that's the thing that I'm scared of the most. Because when I say like you could get lost in that.
Uh-huh.
Like that's it's That's the will. That's the thing. Like I said, that we've been doing forever and always, and that like I said, it can look a million different ways, but it always looks this way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the French Revolution that leads to Napoleon, right? The French revolted against aristocracy. It was this liberal movement. They were talking about gay rights way back then. They're like, we're gonna get rid of this, and it's gonna be perfect. We're gonna get rid of them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be our society, and we're gonna be able to do it right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they revolted. They were cutting off the heads of the rich,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll out the guillotine.
off
That's
with
right.
their heads. Vive la
Right.
France,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
But so the rich defended themselves. They had the armies, right? But guess what? The people had an army too. They just needed someone who could wield it.
Mm-hmm.
Then along came Napoleon.
Right.
Along came Napoleon, an opportunist. This he was at school. He was in military school. He had no badges of honor to his name. Came from a semi-wealthy family, all that good stuff. He was above average student. They're like, hey, Napoleon,
Right. Say something.
you wanna.
Right.
We know you want. You want your opportunity
Right.
to show your genius. You want
Mm-hmm.
your opportunity to make a way in the world.
Right.
Here
Here.
it is.
Right.
Don't you do something with this, Napoleon?
Mm-hmm.
And Napoleon said, yeah, I'll do something with that.
Right.
And then this liberal leftist revolution of people who wanted to take back their country ended up giving rise to what was already there,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
to another emperor, to the emperor. Now
Right.
you
Yes.
made something worse,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're fighting today even about police brutality in France.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They have all sorts of issues.
yeah,
My goodness.
some
Right.
like
Mm-hmm.
because I think there's footage that came out of police beating some black
Mm-hmm. In
I
France.
think
Yeah.
music
Mm-hmm.
producer of some type. Anyway, some unarmed black man got beaten his own home.
Right.
Right now, and they were trying to pass this bill beforehand that you can't film the police,
Right.
you can't. But now it's like nah, it's a
Correct.
whole
Right. It's a whole another. Right.
Paris is going down in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in France. We talk about in Nigeria.
Right.
All these countries, again and again, we're seeing this. And what I'm afraid of is that you get this movement of liberal leaning of a leftist type of people who want to take back their country and want to do some good with it. But you get caught up in the fight, and you need a general. You need someone who can win that fight for you,
Mm-hmm.
who can wield you. And then that person, or person's party, ends up being exactly what you thought you were getting rid of. And you get stuck in that again. Now you're trying to get rid of them. Oh, wait, no, you're not trying to get rid of them anymore because that person won the fight. Right? That person wants to fight it, but guess what? What happens with the other people like you?
Mm-hmm.
With the other unsatisfied people who just won't take it anymore? Right? Well, you're going to have to fight them. And what happens to the people after that? You're going to have to fight them. And now you're stuck in the cycle, trying to maintain what you built. And what you built was exactly the thing you thought you had destroyed. And here we go. It's not royalty anymore. It's politicians.
Right.
It's not kings as presidents. But the wars all look the same. And they're getting worse. They have gotten worse. And it's continuous. This is the most peaceful the world has ever been. This right now.
That should tell you all you need
It's a
to know right.
crime.
Right. That should tell you what you need to know right there. Right.
Like we get stuck. We're stuck. And I'm seeing this mindset in us. Like I said, that is absolutely justified. It's not like the aristocracy wasn't manipulating and taking advantage of the people.
Right.
While they were starving, living the high life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was going on.
Correct.
Right. And it's not like you don't have a reason to want to revolt, to want to give them what they are owed. But, we have, we have that history, on this planet. We've seen it before,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then we think that, well, we can do it right. There's no right way to end a war.
Mm-hmm.
There's no part of war that leads to right. That doesn't happen. Like I said, you can't stop a war. You can only win them. And war is nothing but compromise. Compromise with yourself.
Constantly.
You say that you are a people who deserve this, war will make you undeserving. Because to win a war is a compromise. It compromises you. Innocent people, regular, normal people, maybe not even innocent. How can you be innocent in a system that runs off this? Everyone's guilty, right? So everyone dies, everyone pays, and you keep going until you win or you lose. Either way, you have been unmade. You no longer are people who deserve to pay them back. Now you deserve to be paid. You are the one with the debt.
And that's the one thing that in this is that we have been on the side of undeserved. We did not.
We have been on the side of right.
Yes, that basic in a nutshell. And so, and I keep saying that, we're on the side of right, so we can't be wrong. I know,
and it's leading us or something very wrong.
And so, I know. I mean, I get frustrated, with everything that's going on. Another police killing. It was a sandwich. This is getting ridiculous here. What's happening? You have lines of people like stretched out from Kentucky to Ohio. With no money, no food. It's exhausting at times. But we're right. And you are going to have, folks who don't understand all of a sudden what defund the police means. Now we have to have that I'm not even having that conversation with y'all. But you feel like you're owed an explanation on this. I don't understand what you're saying. And, you're not going to get people on your side when you say defund the police. It's the song by Millie Jackson that keeps ringing in my head when I hear that. I'm like, we're right. Stand on that. Stand where you are. Don't go that way. I mean, and I don't want to seem like.
But when you are right, when you are right, you are. What are you willing to do to prove it? To prove that you're right. And you hold, like I said, and then you make compromises to be right. You give everything because you know you're right. And that in itself makes you wrong.
Right. Don't compromise. That's what I'm saying. Now it's, we're on, stay here.
And that means we are the ones who are going to have to act upon that. We are the ones who are going to have to act like we're right. Like I said, act like we know better. If we know better,
do better.
Act like
right.
But the pull.
Yes. Yes.
Like because it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to say that we have to forgive them when they're the ones who are holding the gun. They're the ones with the guns.
Right. They're the ones who are doing,
pulling the trigger.
That's right.
I don't have a gun. I'm powerless here. I'm the one who has to forgive. Right? The victim. The one whose life is directly on the line. I have to forgive. Right? They're the ones who constantly pull the trigger. They're the ones who constantly keep perpetuating this. They're the ones
right,
who are old. Right? And I say who are old what? Like I said, an ass whooping of epic proportions.
Right. And I
but
yes.
when you
owe them an ass whooping of epic proportions, and you owe them nothing at the same. I'm like, you owe them nothing. You owe them nothing. You don't owe them.
What the question isn't. The question, like I said, the question isn't what you owe them.
Right.
The question is, how do you stop it? Right? How do you stop, police brutality? How do you stop it?
Right.
I guess you can't get rid of the police. At least you can't say that. Right? Just get rid of the police.
Well,
right? But you have to change the police. And you have to change the police to such a degree that they are no longer the police anymore. That is a form of destruction, especially in Hinduist beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you change is destruction.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thing being unmade and made into
It's
something
something
else,
else.
right? But that's not that's but it's not destruction.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's something else.
Right.
It's something that entails destruction, but means something more,
Right.
right? So it's about how. So you ask like, how do we win this war?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are at war, right?
Right.
How do we win this, right? Well, the only way to win this war is to change the war,
Mm-hmm.
to change the dynamics of it to such a degree that it is no longer a war.
War.
Because to fight this war, to fight this battle, in the current language of things, only leads to more war.
War.
War spells war,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's like it keeps going and it
Right.
keeps perpetuating. So, there's something you want to say?
Well, I was going to say, when I say that we owe them nothing,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about is the headspace, the energy to to keep doing this. So when I say, we owe them nothing, that's for me is the point where I is that now I want to be in a place where we're not walking this particular path.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm constantly feeling as if my life is on the line every single time I step out the door or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
To live
that.
with the sword of Damocles
Yes.
hanging over your head.
That's exactly. I don't want that. And I am not going to give you any more of my energy lending itself to that. And it's a hard term because it feels like I should reign the terror.
Should give them
Right.
what they owe.
You're not worthy. And I'm saying, and I think y'all understand, you're not even worthy of my kind of time. At least with that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do, something else. That's what I need to do. And it's I don't even care how you take it. I don't care if you take it as, you're just scared or what. Man, shut up. Scared or man, go ahead, go sit down somewhere. Because forgiveness for me, healing for me,
Mm-hmm.
is challenging. You see it as me being scary or that I'm being a coward. Get out my face, bro, because that's not what
And
it is.
that's look. I've said before that I have no problem being a coward in your world.
Oh,
If
well,
that
yeah.
means I get to maintain my bravery, my courage, and mine.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that I'm a coward because I'm not speaking the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because I refuse to speak that
your
language.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to speak the language of madness. That only breeds more madness.
Mm-hmm.
I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something else.
Right.
I want to speak something else. Mm-hmm. I want to speak into existence a different type of world. And living is just speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Communication with yourself and the world around you. I want to create something else,
Mm-hmm.
which means that I have to change how I am.
Right.
But that means that I will not be afforded the same spaces that you are afforded to get to prove your bravery.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like I said before, that every cowards will do anything to prove that they're not cowards.
That's right.
Right. So you continue to push and
Mm-hmm.
push and push because I ain't a bitch.
Right.
Right. See, that mindset in itself means that you have no power.
Right.
What are you trying to prove yourself to?
Right.
To the sun? Who's judging you? God? Is God the one like if he don't hit him back, then he's a bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the ultimate judgment we have?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're afraid of? Walking back into your house and having your father disapprove of you because he didn't raise no cowards in this household. You better get back out. Is that the voices that's in our head right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We hold on so fervently to the ghost, of our supposed glory, of who we are. We're the
Mm-hmm.
warriors, we're the kings, we're all this, and you hold on to that so like so much that it unmakes you.
Mm-hmm.
It unmakes you. You are so bound and determined to prove that you are brave that you aren't being brave. That you are giving in to all of the pressures and all of the weight of this madness
Mm-hmm.
because you think you can beat it. Because you think you're not going to go insane. There's a promo from Jake the Snake Roberts, right?
Wrestler.
Yeah, a wrestler who talks about, he was cutting a promo on Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
and he said, if you say that you at night, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're driving down the road and you cross that double line and you see that big old truck coming at you, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the dude giving the promo was like, I'll move out the way. I'll skirt the car out the way. He was like, yeah. Right? But that's not what Hulk Hogan would do. Hulk
Right.
Hogan is the type of man
That
who will meet that power and see if he can live through it.
Right.
And that's who we are.
Right.
We're on that road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big old truck coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, get out the way,
Right.
please.
Right.
It's going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. Nah.
But
No.
I can beat it.
Right.
I can live through it. I can go through it. Are you insane?
Right. It's like punching a brick. Like, why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this? What are you trying to prove?
Right.
What are you trying to prove? You want to be. You're choosing to be brave so much that it's killing you, and that's a coward's choice.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing. This is nothing but suicide. It's suicide. We are killing ourselves. We are killing ourselves. Every time we keep, having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Every time like a police officer kills, an unknown black man, right? And you feel that compulsion because it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It is a challenge. Every single time it's a challenge, and you want to meet it head on, right? But you meet it in the only way that they understand. You have given up, as far as I'm concerned, because you're not trying to solve a problem. We all know that how many times have we taken to the streets?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we done this? Has it changed anything? No. Even now, the biggest, longest, protests in American history, all over the world, you're seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it leading to? It led us to Joe Biden. That's what it led us to. And it led us to people being like, well, you can't defund the police because you might...
right. You can't say that, because that offends,
right? This is where it's led us to.
Right.
Again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Serial failures and cowards. Too afraid to do the work that needs to be done. Because they're afraid of looking like cowards.
Mm-hmm.
They're so afraid of looking like cowards that they've become cowards.
Right. But nothing gets done.
And nothing gets done.
Right.
And nothing gets done.
Mm-hmm.
We have to answer the call. The challenge has been made. Right? The challenge has been made. We need to answer the call.
Mm-hmm.
No one's denying that.
Right.
Like I said, forgiving is not giving up recompense, is not giving up justice.
Right.
But it's being the person that you say you are and getting it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do not compromise that. Not for this. Not for the madness. If you say that we aren't a people, that we know where war leads.
Mm-hmm.
We know that killing is wrong, even in the most extreme situations. We know that this leads to more of itself. And if we keep playing this game, it's going to lead us to this again.
Right.
We have the history.
Who doesn't know that better than us? Because
we have to know it.
Right. We know it better than it because we're the ones who
we've been under the boot.
Oh, right.
We've seen it many times.
Mm-hmm.
If we say we know that, then we need to act like
it. We have seen it. We know all the forms that it has even taken. That's how well we know it. Mm-hmm. And yet we still, we don't want to take a step back because we're thinking that if we take a step back, that means that, we're we're scared, we're afraid, you know, we don't want to meet this challenge head on. And I'm like,
That's the
that's
thing. If you're doing that, you're not meeting
the
the
challenge,
challenge. You're
right?
just creating more problems.
Hmm.
You know,
And
and
then
I
you're only, and the problems that are being created because of that, they still, they only end up still hurting you.
mhm,
I'm not saying that other people don't get it, but for the most, they still end up just
depriving you,
depriving
keeping
you.
you in the same place.
Right. And so now you have to ask yourself, when are we actually going to be brave? And for me, the bravery is
The healing.
the healing,
Mhm,
the walking away.
mhm.
And when I say
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like that. You don't. You owe it to you to do something else. You do. And
And I think the question comes down to who are you in this for?
right.
Like you keep saying the ancestors and what they're owed and stuff like that, but I don't think you're actually doing this with the ancestors
Mm-hmm.
because according to their word, they don't need you to do it for them. They had their fight. They made their choice, right? You know, Frederick Douglass doesn't need you to take up the flag for him.
Mm-hmm.
He took up his own flag,
Mm-hmm.
and he held it all the way to the very end.
So did Malcolm.
So
So
did
did
Malcolm and
Patrice
Martin
and
and Marcus,
right. All of them. Mm-hmm.
everyone who has ever stepped to the fore. So did
Harriet,
Harriet.
Asada, all of them. Right.
That's the name I
Asada.
was thinking of.
Right. You know, all of them. Right.
All of them.
Right.
They made their choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to save them. They saved themselves. They did it their way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it was of compromising or of uncompromising.
Right.
However they did it, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
What you are doing now is not for them. It cannot be for them.
Right. Because it's already done.
They did it.
Right. It's already done. Right.
You know, whether they've succeeded or failed is all just a matter of perspective.
Correct. Yes.
They did it. They
Mhm.
made their choices and they lived them out to the very end. They don't need you
Mhm.
to save them.
They don't.
It's over.
It's over.
What you're doing here is not for them. It's for you.
You. That's right.
You know, you want to win this war, not because you want to make it right. Not because you want to, you know, give the ancestors what they deserve or to live in some type of peace. You know, that's not why you're doing this.
Mhm.
You can't convince me that's why you're doing this. That might be what you're saying, but that's not why you're doing this.
Right.
I don't believe it. Because I've said many a times, like, are we stupid? Are black people stupid? And you know what the answer is? No. We ain't stupid.
Right.
And so all this stupid stuff that we're up to is all just a charade.
Mm-hmm.
Because, bro, you ain't stupid. You're lying. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're lying. Stop lying.
You know that's my line. You know that's my line.
Stop trying to invoke the names of the ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
That's done. What you're doing now is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't see a way out. Or because you don't want to. You don't want peace. You want to win. You want to prove a point to them, to God, the devil, to the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
to the wind and to the sun, to the stars, to everything that sees what's happening on this planet, that we can beat them,
Mm-hmm.
that we will beat them, that we are the people to beat them, and we can beat them and beat them well.
Mm-hmm. And we could beat them this way.
Yes, we could beat them their way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. This
Right?
way. Mm-hmm.
We can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a roadmap. Give me something. Give me something. You're asking. You want it. You want to be wielded. Right? Because you, like I said, you've weaponized your history.
Mm-hmm.
You've weaponized your philosophy. Right? All of it weaponized for one goal, defeating the white man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All of it's there. The infrastructure is there. It's all there. Right? All you need now, like you said, is the Malcolm
Mm-hmm.
or the Martin,
Mm-hmm.
the Napoleon,
Mm-hmm.
who can wield the weapon. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. Right? You want to be wielded. You are giving up a piece of compromise.
Right.
Compromise.
Right,
You've
right.
already compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you want it so bad for you because you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're here. because you want to win. The ancestors already won.
Right.
They made it to the end. They're dead. And they're at peace. They've moved on to whatever comes next. You're the one still harping on the history that they have already defeated.
Yeah, they've already won.
Yes.
Yes. Make no mistake about it. Right.
They don't need you.
Right.
You need them. But you refuse to learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All you want to see is their suffering. All you want to see is their pain and not how they dealt with it. Mm-hmm. Not how they moved.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They won. They won. Here you are now. Here you are struggling. Right? We, like I said,
we're struggling.
We're struggling.
And instead of us learning from them, we want to weaponize or critique and say, well, they should have done this. Well, you can.
Well, obviously, because you know you don't like the world your ancestors made for you.
Right.
Right? But they didn't make it.
That's right. That's right. They made it. Right.
We got to beat them.
Right.
Like I said, nobody, we all lying. We don't want to see the hand that we were dealt and the cards that we played in the creation of this world. It's a mess, and it is a mess.
It is.
And you want to know why it's a mess? Because you refuse to learn. Because you're lying. You ain't stupid, bro. You're not stupid.
Right. You're just lying.
Drop the facade. Drop the facade. You may want to hide behind that veil of ignorance and stupidity, right? Sagging pants and joining gangs, right? You may want to hide behind that, right? Because it makes it easier. But I'm not fooled. You fooled me many a times.
Right.
I've questioned us. Are we stupid? Are we stupid? I've questioned us. No, we ain't stupid. Nah, we ain't stupid. Nobody's this stupid. It doesn't exist. If we are here at this point, it's because we want to be.
And we don't have to be.
And
it's going to require something else of us for us not to be. And it's a requirement of you. It's a requirement of you. And so
every last one of us.
Yes.
You know, we're all going to be tested. Like I said, life isn't about, breaking. But life will break you. You know? But life, what it's really about is how can you put yourself back together?
It's
how can you put something back together, create something out of the broken pieces of self that cannot be broken. Do you have the will to rebuild yourself after you are broken with the full knowledge that you will lie in ruin again? Do you have the will to rebuild constantly again and again? Like we said, can we rebuild without Africa? Without the pyramids, without the history, without the ancestors, without the hate, without the struggle? Can we rebuild in peace? Can we rebuild in happiness?
Can we rebuild out of love? Because we're constantly building from a point of pain. That's the thing. That's the thing.
To take that pain away.
Right. So, can we build from a point of love?
Can we?
Can we build because?
Can you build from nothing?
Yes.
When you have
nothing.
When you have nothing, like you said, no culture, no history, not even your own language, nothing. Can you build from that?
Right.
Can you build from that? And like we said before, the answer is you better.
Yes.
You better. Because this isn't a hypothetical.
Right.
This is where we are.
Yes.
We have nothing. Nothing. And there isn't a gun, there isn't a fortune, there isn't a general, and there isn't a God that is going to be able to give you something to build with. It's nothing. It's all gone. All you have is yourself and the consensus that you come to with the people who are willing to build. Everyone wants to build. Everyone wants something. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants it, but they don't know what it is, and they don't know how to get it. Right? Because we're building off a basis of nothing. We've all chosen this world. We've all chosen for things to be this way. Right? But this doesn't come from a divine mandate.
Right.
This is our choice.
Right. Even in your building of who you are, when you say, I'm an African, right? Even in that building, you have made choices on what that is and what that means for you. And what it means for you to be an African, right? we already know that that definition for you and how you have built yourself to be that is different even from the
Mm-hmm.
folks who are on the continent.
Mm-hmm.
But you said that you're still African nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And you have built that with your knowledge, your understanding, and how it is that you extrapolate and put that together. You have built the
You've built an
African,
identity.
that's right, from nothing.
You've built the culture.
You did
You've
that.
built the history.
That's right.
From nothing.
From nothing. And it's commendable.
The greatest accomplishment.
Yes.
Our greatest accomplishment.
Yes. Is that we've
built an identity in spite of it all.
In spite of it all. And that is something that we know we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't, I don't think we think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we have done. In this mire that we have been put in, we have created for ourselves, built for ourselves. You know, the kind of people with the resilience that it's not even comparable. So now we are going into this 21st century
Mm-hmm.
with different challenges. We have to create something else.
We have to work a miracle again. People.
Right. You know, and so
you gotta turn, water to wine.
Mm-hmm. That's what.
You gotta turn, shit to shinola.
Right. So that's what this is, and for you to do that, at least for me to do it, I'll put it that way, is that it's a healing for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I have decided to accept these challenges, and that's not to say that you're not going to get frustrated, that you're not going to get upset. You're not living, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the work for you. When you, at least for me, when I decided, just to step away and to homeschool and those type of things, I don't feel as if I gave up anything in order to do that. Yes, I don't know, salary, like those type of things completely changed, but I don't feel as if I gave up anything in order to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I gained so much more. And what is being presented to us right now, with particularly under this pandemic, is that I think it has shown, it has revealed, I think, at least for me, I'm not going to say that I'm surprised, but I am. It's shocking.
It's surprising.
Yeah, we have fallen into these traps again.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we come out of this? What kind of person do you want to be? To come out of this? Do you still want to, I don't know, go back to what things used to be? And we know that's not the case. I mean, you all have even said it. I've like, we don't want the old way. We don't want to go back to normal, because the normal was what led
us to this.
Led us to this. So, are you willing to do the work for you in order not to go back to the normal? No. And I know for some of our listeners that may sound frustrating, and and those type of things, and you mean to tell me I can't? I'm not telling you anything. I'm not directing your steps that way. I'm not telling you what to do. You need to tell yourself
Hmm.
what you need to do.
You think I'm telling him because he already know. You just don't want to accept.
That
Hmm.
you are we know what needs to be done.
Hmm.
And like you said, do we have the will to do it? We know. We already know. And so,
And
yeah.
so, the big point I want to make is that there is no bootstrapping this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no forcing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but on the same token, there is a way it's supposed to look. There is a way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to feel different. It's supposed to be different. You know, and there's there's a lot of a gradient on the scale of thought and consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
On where people is, and you don't have to be in any place in particular. To know what's right.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong. To know what's right for you where you are. But it is. It always takes a very particular form,
Mm-hmm.
and peace is, like I said, it's not a form. Forgiveness is not a form.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness and peace are one and the same. One doesn't lead to the other. They
Mm-hmm.
they are codependent. They are symbiotic. So that you can't build peace,
Right.
and you
You
can't
can't
build
build
forgiveness,
forgiveness.
or you
Right.
can't force
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. You get there when you get there. You arrive there. So you arrive at inoculation. So if you want to get to that place, right, then you have to be willing to recontextualize, what it is that we're dealing with. Because you're not giving up anything. You're not giving up like justice.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving up, you know, wanting
Mm-hmm.
those things that you think that you are owed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving up on those
Mm-hmm.
things. You're just changing what it means to acquire them,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
and changing what they mean once they're acquired. Because you are living a different life now. You are speaking a different language. You are creating something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's in the same world, all in the same setting, right? The trees are going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
The seas are going to be here, right? But you're wanting to build a different type of world,
Mm-hmm.
a different type of society, and a different type of mind for these things to be couched in. I think about now of I forget his name, but it might be Ptah, who was the high god of one of those Egyptian cults. They say that all of existence lied inside of Ptah's mind.
Mm-hmm.
All of the gods, all of the world, all of it were just constructs of Ptah's imagination, and that all of us are playing out inside of his mind. All of reality comes because this entity is thinking. So I find that interesting almost because it lends itself toward the question of, well, what is God thinking of?
Mm-hmm.
What is he thinking about that has created this,
Mm-hmm.
that is leading us here? And I think the question is, how do we exist? What is existence?
Mm-hmm.
Is it pain? Is it strife? Is it madness? Or is it something else?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it peace? Is it harmony, symphony? You know? And I think the answer is that it's all of it. It is striving to be what you are by knowing what you're not. You know? It's about defeating those things that are not by being what you are.
Mm-hmm.
It is light in the darkness. And it is darkness that breeds the light. and it is a contradiction. And he's confused. God's very confused because we're all confused. And he's thinking very hard. The same question. That's why we're still here. The same question over and over again. How? How do we arrive at peace when we are in a world of madness? How can we get there? And you got to change how you think about it, Patal. And so do we.
Right.
You got to change how you think about peace. Because you're not going to get to peace the same way you got to war. You ain't going to get to peace through this madness, bro. Madness only ensures itself.
Yeah. That's been shown.
The only way you're going to be able to get to peace, and I say only, and I mean it this time. The only way you're going to get to peace is if you change what it means to go to war. If war is the only language we understand, then we're going to need to redefine some things.
And haven't you heard that before? I mean, I think of Amos Wilson. He even talks about redefining, recontextualizing. I mean, these are terms. This is not unfamiliar territory to us.
Yeah.
I think, more so than anything that we think the redefining means the opposite. And the opposite is that lateral type movement. And my line when I say the opposite is that the opposite is not to do that at all. Whatever they're doing, the opposite is not to do. It's not, doing it.
But black. Yeah.
So, yes.
So, yeah. I think about that because I think it's a real beautiful idea. It is the most solipsistic, musings of reality. But I think it makes sense on a theological type of way.
Okay.
That some ultimate entity is trying to figure itself out, and we're all in here, living idea forms.
Trying to figure this out.
we always think that the Platonic lies somewhere else. Come to find out, we are the metaphysical. We are the ideal given form. And if reality is the body, then I think we people are the white blood cells, trying our best to fight the sickness. But in doing so, we only make the body sicker. And it's fighting the sickness that creates the sickness. It's internalized in us. Because when you get sick, it's not the virus that's doing it. It's fighting the virus that's doing it. But you got to fight it.
Right.
It's in there. It's in our blood. It's in our blood. It is in our bones. It's there. On this way. You got to do it. Got to fight. Got to blah blah blah. Got to weaponize. Got to keep going. Larger weapons, larger things. It keeps building in on itself. But you keep getting sick.
Right.
You keep getting sick. You're like, how am I here again? Why am I back here again? I haven't figured this out yet. I thought we wouldn't be here anymore.
Yet here we are.
Because we're speaking the same language. Nothing has really changed because we haven't changed. We haven't really been able to see what change is. Because we change form all the time.
Definitely, right.
Buildings,
right.
Leaders, different things.
Right.
That's change, right? No. You change form all the time, but the function is still the same.
And so that's the point of view that we're coming from.
Now it's time that we change the function. If we want to get to paradise, right? If we're already in the metaphysical, then guess what? It's right here. Ain't no death gonna take it to you. Death might let you meet Ptah, but ain't gonna let you solve his problems.
I'm not trying to meet him right now anyway.
And if we're trying to solve some problems, then heaven's right here.
Right.
And so is hell. And trust me.
Oh, we know. Yes.
This is hell. This is a living nightmare.
That's right. That's right.
And if we want to do it, it's right here. It's right here. All we have to do is Just change how we want it.
Mm-hmm.
Change what it means to want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, change all of these things. Nothing is safe from it. And then when you change it some more, and keep going,
Mm-hmm.
keep going, keep shifting,
Mm-hmm.
because it's always going to be there. It's in, like I said, it's in our blood. It's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how psychosomatic a lot of our conditions are, and I don't know if changing the language of society is going to change us physically. You know, I most likely it won't. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds like some science fiction, but who knows how we got here? You know, but if we want to change how we are living, what it means to live with us, with a people,
That's right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to take a different language than the white blood cells,
Right.
attacking the
That's
virus,
right. Right.
So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments. And thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.